Hey, ¿qué pasa, cracks? Bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio de Vampire. Bueno, estamos de vuelta en un nuevo episodio más de Vampire. Nos dejamos el otro día llegando a este nuevo distrito y este nuevo escondite que es mucho más lujoso que los anteriores. Vamos a empezar hablando con lo que es toda la peña que hay por aquí. A ver si nos deja. Aquí creo que se entró una mujer, ¿no? También no hay nada. Coño, qué susto me ha dado esta, tío.
Mother.
Pues sí, es la madre.
Good evening.
Es la madre.
Is it you? Where have you been, my prodigal son?
Desde lejos no la había reconocido.
Mother. I'm finally home.
Yes, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He
Hijo
was
muerto.
lost and now found. But where is
Ah,
your
bueno, ¿dónde
sister?
está Mary?
Where is Mary?
Mary. She is gone, Mother.
I know she's gone. The question is, when will she return as you have? I miss my grandson so much. It's been days since their last visit.
Vamos a preguntarle cosas de nuestra madre. Porque Jonathan lo sabrá, pero nosotros no. Hablen sobre el barrio.
Mother, do you know what's been going on in this area?
Not really. I don't go out much due to the epidemic, and when I do, I tend to get lost.
What do you mean you get lost? I hope you don't go outside alone.
Of course not. When I go out, your father always
padre no lo
comes
hemos
with
visto,
me, but he leaves me there sometimes, and I have trouble finding the way back.
Se me acaba de ocurrir un plot twist increíble. ¿Imagináis que el malo es el padre? Nah, sería muy loco, ¿no?
Have you returned to Whitechapel Cemetery since Mary's funeral?
I never want to go back to that awful place. Wait,
Claro, regresó,
I think I
pero
went
porque estaba un
back
poco
once.
manipulada por Life.
and you were there too. And Mary? No, that can't be true.
It was just a bad...
A
Exacto, una
nightmare,
pesadilla.
yes. Mary was so angry. I walked back home alone. If that kind policeman had not called Avery from the station, I don't know what would have happened.
Vale, preguntas personales. ¿Necesita
Do
algo?
you need anything, Mother?
I just want you to stay with me, Jonathan.
Claro,
Your
pero
room
tenemos
is
que
ready.
hacer cosas.
I
Madre.
asked Avery to make your bed.
I'll stay as long as I can, I promise. Do you need anything else?
Just one thing. Stop staring at me like that. As much as I love you, it breaks my heart to look at those empty and dead eyes.
Somos un vampiro que quiere que hagamos. Está trabajando en un nuevo
Are you
cuadro.
working on a new painting?
Not recently. I have trouble focusing on my subject and my mind quickly drifts. It's the same thing when I try to write poetry.
I recently met a talented painter with an excellent technique. I wish you two could meet. I'm sure you'd like her.
I'd be glad to meet her. What is her name? Is she
También está
famous?
muerta.
Is she dead too?
She's not famous, and her name is of no importance. And yes, she is also dead.
The important thing is, I hope you two get along. If she ever fancies meeting your mother, I'd be glad to welcome her into my home.
Bueno, mira. Ya lo sabemos. Sobre familia.
Why do you say Mary is visiting you, Mother? You know that's impossible.
Why should it be? Are you not standing in front of me right now?
También es verdad.
Why should it be any different with your sister?
Mari está muerta, no estoy muerto.
But Mary really is dead, Mother.
Yes. And are you not dead too? Isn't your father dead? And my grandson and my son-in-law, you're all
O sea, ¿el padre
gone.
también es vampiro?
But you all still visit me from
Os he dicho que está
time to
muerto.
time.
Que yo recuerde, no hemos visto al padre, ¿no? A ver si ya lo hemos visto. Y no me acuerdo.
But I'm not dead, Mother. I'm really here, talking to you, trying not to cry.
Oh, it breaks my heart to have to tell you this. But of
Joder.
course you're dead, my darling boy. Just look at you, as pale as my Mary.
Joder. La madre.
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye, son.
Vale, vamos a intentar un poco investigar esto por aquí. La llave pequeña era para este cuarto. Quizás sea el de la madre, ¿no? Mansión Rey, 4 de abril de 1908. Mi querido y adorado John, cuando recibas esta carta ya tendrás 35 años y yo hará mucho que me marché. Me siento un poco estúpido por escribirte por esta primera carta que no leerás en años. Llevo mucho tiempo debatiéndome sobre cómo contarte esto. Hasta que recordé los rompecabezas y acertijos que inventaba para ti cuando no eras más que un niño, como disfrutabas resolviendo los enigmas. Pues bien, he pensado que no sería mala idea plantearte un último juego, aunque sin duda será mucho menos gratificante. Esta vez no encontrarás caramelos ni tesoros exóticos para descifrar la solución. Saca ya la música así de repente, tío. Qué tenso ha sido esto, ¿no? Pero sí, quizás un tesoro más valioso, la verdad. Este será mi único intento de explicarte por qué decidí abandonar a mi familia sin dar ninguna explicación. Si quieres descubrir el motivo, tan solo resuelve mi pequeño juego. Todo depende de ti, hijo mío. No dudes que te quiero. Te prometo que mi familia fue y siempre lo será. Todo para mí. Recuerda la primera vez que os tuve en brazos, a tu hermana y a ti, mis tesoros, mis joyas. Veros crecer, jugar y reír inundaba mi corazón de gozo cada vez que volvía a mi hogar. Habría sido capaz de matar por proteger. Mi hijo, mi hija, mi esposo, pero el destino terminó encontrándome. Y tuve que tomar una difícil decisión. Coño. Por el destino terminó. Por encontrarme tuve que tomar una difícil decisión. Lo peor fue desaparecer sin decir nada. Aún sí decidí hacerlo. Y pronto me habré marchado del todo. No pido perdón, sino comprensión. Si quieres saber más, tan solo debes recordar lo felices que éramos en aquella época. Si quieres descubrir el siguiente mensaje, piensa en la verde hierba y en los altos árboles en domingos soleados. Será para la típica misión secundaria, ¿no? Pues la haremos. A ver si hay algo más por aquí. Pues no hay nada más. Tenemos que investigar la planta de abajo. ¿Tienes que decir algo? No creo, ¿no? Oh, mira.
Father seems to have left me some documents. Some sort of treasure hunt game. Do you know anything about them?
No, Johnny. But your father always loved to write these little games for you when you were a boy. Don't you remember?
Recuerdo sus acertijos. Es posible que esto es una especie de juego final. Hostia, como sale el padre el malo.
He used to post me these riddles, as though they were sent by a mysterious games master. I'd spend weeks trying to decipher them.
Your father was always so proud each time you found the answer. He was not just the serious doer banker everybody thought he was.
I was proud too. How could I forget that?
The important thing is that you remember it now. I'll tell your father the next time I see him. He'll be so happy.
Could father have conceived some sort of final game for me before he left?
I really can't say, Johnny. Perhaps you should talk with Avery about that. He was your father's confidant, more than I.
Ok.
Goodbye,
O sea, cuando encontremos a Avery tendremos más información. Nada por aquí, nada por allá. Vamos a ver abajo. Supongo que abajo será para salir, ¿no? Vale, hay más habitaciones. Esa es la puerta para salir. Nada, 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 nada. A ver esta. Tenemos otra llave, creo. Ah, no, esta está abierta tal cual. Vale, aquí hay gente.
Good evening, Avery.
Este es Avery.
Jonathan? I can't believe...
I know, Avery. I know about my sister's murder.
Miss Reed expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been, Mr. Jonathan?
Pues muy ajetreado, la verdad, he estado por ahí. Ciudad en Londres, ¿cómo está mi madre?
How is my mother?
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reed is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police? What happened?
Miss Reed was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter. She's resting now.
Iba un poco medio sonámbula, ¿no? Asistencia médica, es posible cuando no...
Has she received appropriate...
I'm taking care of Miss Reed myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept patients infected by influenza.
Perhaps we could arrange a short trip. Somewhere sunny, like France. She has always been very fond of France.
I'm afraid Miss Reed is too frail for the moment. Recently, she started going out at night without remembering it.
Imaginéis que
I have to
nos
watch
estamos
her
al trono.
carefully.
La
What is
cautivamos.
the situation in this part of town?
For a time, the West End seemed spared by the epidemic. But the situation is getting much worse.
Have you no relatives anywhere? I'll understand if you want to take a few days to see family.
Your father managed to guarantee my earnings as long as I take care of this house, sir. My sisters are dead, and I've never met my...
Joder. Otra pista más. Funeral
I'm
de Mary.
sorry I could not be here for Mary's funeral.
Your mother was
Sí que
strong,
estuvimos, pero
sir,
estuvimos escondidos.
but your support would have been appreciated. Apart from the priest and I, no one else attended your sister's funeral.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest wish, Avery. But
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal during these difficult days.
Pero Jonathan no quería. Marta, si se pudiera, mi padre me dijo esta carta. Vamos a
tell
preguntarle
me
esto
the
primero.
truth, Avery. Did
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go. And I promised your father I'd take care of his family as long as I live.
this house is dead, Avery? There is a curse on this family. You really should consider leaving.
If only you could have been here sooner or more often. Maybe this house would not be that empty. But you're here now, sir. So my task is not over.
Pues vamos a conseguir otras pistas de este chavo. ¿Eh?
You have served this family extremely well, Avery.
Then I will stay. All I ask is that you take care of my own funeral if I die before the end of the epidemic. No mass grave.
Lo intentaré.
Please, sir.
¿Realmente cree que desatendí a mi
I
madre?
think I don't take enough care of my mother.
Yes, I do, Mr. Johnson.
Joder.
You clearly have something more to say.
I know you work hard to help the sick. But what will you do once the epidemic is over?
Este es mi hogar, la verdad lo desconozco. Este ya no es mi hogar. A ver, en cuanto acabe todo, pues lo suyo sería venirse aquí, ¿no? Con la madre y tal.
My home is here, and I have nowhere else to go. But this house will need some improvements if I move here.
That's good news. Whatever changes you have in mind, I'm sure we will find an arrangement that suits your mother also.
Sí, porque si no, no me ven. Mi padre me
I
dejó esa
found
carta.
an old letter written by my father and addressed to me. Do you know anything about it, Avery?
Your father wanted me to give you this letter for your 35th birthday, but you left for the war, and the letter remained in his office until tonight.
I realize now you knew my father better than I did. Do you know why he left, Avery? Did he ever speak to you about his departure?
No, sir. Mr. Reed was not exactly forthcoming. Perhaps this letter will give you the information you require.
Que no veamos al padre, que no lo hayamos visto nunca y ahora
Of
tampoco,
course,
me hace pensar que lo mismo es el malo de todos, ¿eh? Uy, he vuelto a hablar con él.
Goodbye.
of course.
No sé, ¿eh? Me da que pensar eso. Vale, pues... Vamos a ir al club ASCALON. Bueno, por aquí hay más gente. Vale, voy a ver qué hay por aquí. Otro distrito. Buah, esto es súper grande, ¿eh? Va a haber que echarle tiempo para investigar todo. Vale, aquí hay
The
más gente.
ASCALON Club. The heart of British Vampire Society.
Corazón de
Quite as subtle as I
la
expected.
sociedad de vampiros, cuidado.
Good evening, sir.
Vamos a hacer amigos por allí.
Please forgive me for disturbing.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I
Parece
must
buena gente.
admit it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm
Welcome, Dr. Reed. Welcome to my humble shop.
A ver qué
I
tiene
may have a look.
para vendernos. Esto de potasio lo vamos a pillar, que siempre nos hace falta.
Good evening.
Soy de Londres. A ver, hábleme sobre el
How
barrio.
is the situation in this part?
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you
Está
not
como
concerned about
el
the
distrito
epidemic?
más rico,
Oh,
¿no?
I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
Es falso, no sé ingenio. ¿Tan ciego está? No sé
You
ingenio.
cannot expect the newspapers to expose the truth while the war is still raging. I can assure you that the situation here is desperate.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit? For the thrill of it?
Vale, hemos conseguido la pista. Alguna novedad interesante.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city.
La comida único que le interesa. Mis gustos son bastante peculiares.
Finding a good
Hombre,
restaurant.
tenemos gustos peculiares, la
Is
verdad.
that really
Siendo
all
vampiros.
that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
Otra pistita más.
I must confess, I have quite specific...
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try.
Sabores nuevos. No sé si la sangre te va a gustar, ¿eh?
Intriguing table, please.
Quizás sí.
Share the address.
Is it not a little too late?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
Prefiero hacer vida de noche. No es
But
peligroso.
what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
Viven como que se
So
piensa
you
que está como muy
prefer to
seguro, ¿no?
work at night?
Yo creo que sí que es la zona
Oh,
tanto
I
más
also
rica de
enjoy
este
a sunny day
el distrito
like
más rico de todo
everybody
este mapa.
else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Notas personales. No tienes familia por
Do
aquí.
you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
Ok. Nada más, ¿no?
Goodbye.
Vale. Vamos haciendo amigos por aquí.
Whether you need to buy something or not, I am happy to
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
Vale, aquí hay más gente.
Don't let any
Toca conocer a toda la peña de aquí. Hola, señor. ¿Qué le
Good
ocurre?
evening, sir. May I have your attention, please?
Come on, Johnny. Don't you
Mi hijo amigo.
recognize your
Hostia.
oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry, I didn't recognize
Oh,
you.
son colegas, ¿eh?
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard. In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
Su vida en Londres. Vamos a preguntarle cuándo regresaste.
When did you escape the war?
You know what's funny? I
Casi nunca
almost
pienso en
never
la
think
guerra.
about the war.
Yo tampoco pienso mucho en ello. ¿Cuál es la nueva? ¿Cuál es
What
esa
is
nueva
this
batalla?
new battle?
I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere.
Los vampiros.
Vampires.
Porque no descubra que somos uno.
I know what you
Ellos.
mean. I haven't had much time to think about the war either since my return.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny. I didn't want to sound selfish.
Vale. Vamos a preguntas personales. ¿Cómo está tu
How
mujer?
is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from each other. So many things have happened.
But you're
¿Estás
alive.
vivo, colega?
You returned in one piece and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
Vale,
You need some.
una pista que nos lleva. Creo que en esta parte de la historia nos están dando más experiencia por todo, ¿eh? Fíjate, solo por hablar con él y él conseguir una pista nos han dado 55. No está nada mal, ¿eh?
No. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please,
¿Esta sabe que somos vampiros?
I'm too young to die. I still have so much
Sí, claro.
to offer this world.
Nuestra madre
Wait,
entiendo
no.
que sabe que somos vampiros.
Why do you think I would. What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm
No ve.
me. Mother told me you were in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbury. My mother taught me long
Claro, por eso lo sabe. Es la hija de Lady Ashbury.
that betray a vampire.
I understand she also taught you how to tease and gently mock
Hostia.
innocent young Echo.
Y decía yo, digo, entonces, ¿qué se ha chivado nuestra madre? ¿O nuestra madre no lo sabe? ¿O no? Nuestra madre entiendo que sí, lo sabrá. Pero digo, no creo que se lo haya contado a otra gente porque nuestro colega no lo sabía. Pero esta sí. Pero claro, es porque es la hija de Lady Ashbury. Va, aquí tenemos para hablar, ¿eh?
What
Sobre
do
el
you think
barrio.
about this?
I was raised here and I suppose it feels like home.
Sí, nací aquí.
Yes, I was born a few streets away.
A small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her fangs on your neck.
Nunca digas nunca.
Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
¿Hay
Is
algo
there
que la molesta?
something that...
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich.
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself or we are all done for.
Sobre su
Tell me about
adopción.
your adoption.
¿Quiénes son sus padres reales? ¿Cómo conoció a Lady Ashbury?
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls she
O sea,
manages in the
es
West
adoptada
End.
de Lady Ashbury.
When I was 10, she adopted
Pues en
me,
verdad se parecen, ¿eh?
and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16. Though I suspected the truth
No,
for
sí,
a
es su
long
hija, es su
time
hija.
before that.
¿Quiénes son sus padres
Who are your
reales?
real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see. And one day, I'll have my death to face.
¿Qué está haciendo
What are
aquí?
you doing out?
You mean, what do I do outside at night since I am a woman?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
Es una sufragista, ¿cómo está relacionada?
Are you a suffragette then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
Joder.
No need
O sea,
to
tienes que tener una
convince
propiedad
me,
para poder votar.
Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time, even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
¿Cómo está reaccionando la
How are the
población?
locals reacting?
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this
Joder.
happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady. And who is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any
Oh.
reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... Well, she got
Los vampiros.
interested in vampires. I'm afraid she might be in...
Let
Probablemente.
me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you? Despite your mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top notch.
Vale, aquí tenemos otra
I can
misión
tell you where she
secundaria.
might have gone. You have my thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
Exactamente. ¿Qué sabe de mí?
What exactly?
Your name and profession, obviously. And the mystery about your
De
makeup.
su grado, claro.
I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your sister, sir. Mother says it was not your fault.
Does it not scare you to know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed? Or you?
Es verdad. No, no. No debería desconfiar.
Of course not. You have nothing to fear from me or your mother.
Good to know. And don't worry, my mother told me everything I need to know about vampire tricks, their nature as well as features.
Joder, vamos, que si quieren nos mete así y nos dan el punto débil, ¿eh?
I believe she thinks the same about you,
Joder. Vale, nada más.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's been quite busy these last few nights.
Wow, 140 de experiencia. Nos dio gente por aquí. Señora que está cabreada, a ver qué le ocurre. Ven aquí.
Good evening,
¿Qué
miss.
pasa?
Can I help you? I'm a doctor.
Tiene los un poco
Dr.
rojo, ¿no?
Jonathan Reed.
I am Karina Billow. I don't need any doctor. The rats. Where are the rats?
Miss, you don't seem well at all. Are you afraid of rats?
What?
Has one bitten you?
No, it's me who
Es
bites
vampira.
them.
Es vampira, ¿eh?
Tasty, juicy, disgusting rats. I can't stop eating them. Help me, please. Help me to disobey the voice.
Es vampira, ¿eh?
Can I
Joder.
help
The
you?
rat.
Subida en Londres. ¿Qué le ha ocurrido? A ver, ¿qué le ha ocurrido?
What happened to you?
The rats.
La respuesta está
Miss
en las
Billow,
ratas.
please, try to concentrate.
Concéntrate, señora.
Why did
The voice in my head. He forces me to do so. Drink their blood, he said.
Es un poco como lo que nos pasaba a nosotros en el principio. ¿Se siente obligado a
do you
obedecer?
feel compelled to
Yes. Please.
Habla en el
tell
árbol en su
me
cabeza.
about the voice in your head?
Keep your mouth shut, he said. Don't ever speak about me, or I'll abandon you. Help me, please, Doctor.
Tell me about
¿Ustedes?
yourself.
Oh, I'm hungry. Need-
Sangre.
Don't you remember who you are, miss?
I was strong.
Participe en buenas causas. Háblenme sobre el barrio.
What is the local news here?
Shadows.
Sombras, sombras cazando sombras, susurros. Pues no tiene nada más que contar, ¿eh?
I must go now.
Sabemos que esa es vampira. Por lo de las ratas. En cuanto ha dicho lo de las ratas, digo, creo que va a ser vampira. Y se notaba un poquillo en los dientes. Vale. A ver qué nos cuentan. Ya es que nos vamos a reunir con el presidente de los ASCALON, ¿eh? Club ASCALON. Se viene.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the ASCALON Club, I presume.
The ASCALON Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Son un poquito prepotentes, ¿no?
Welcome to the ASCALON Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed.
Vale, gente muerta por ahí.
Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
Increíble. Muy acogedor todo, ¿eh? Muy acogedor todo. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Ahora? No sé, me moví el ratón. Me he rayado, digo, ¿qué pasa aquí? Creo que era porque todavía no podía moverme.
Then, Dr. Reed. Welcome to the ASCALON.
Vale, no puedo
There's
hablar
been
con
quite a
él.
battle here.
Madre mía. Qué acogedor este sitio, ¿eh?
I'm sure the ASCALON Club has the money to replace the furniture.
Supongo que habrá que subir, ¿no? Bueno, espérate. Entiendo que será la habitación del pavo este. Nuevo coleccionable, vale. ¿Algo más? ¿Aquí? Nada. sea, vaya polla tenemos. Literal. Nos quedamos secos, tú. Vale, aquí está. Pues luego habría que mirar el sótano a ver dónde está. Aquí hay gente, ¿eh? Con copas de sangre. Son sus gin tonics, ¿eh? Mamá. Tiene pinta de cómo se cabrenda y no salimos, ¿eh?
Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Saben que matamos a Fergal.
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the ASCALON Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Son cercanos, una buena amiga. La admiro. Ha demostrado ser muy útil. Es una buena amiga, ¿no?
She's a close friend, and I'm honored that she
Da miedo el
feels
cabrón,
the
¿eh?
same about me.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal.
Ala.
Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull
Espera,
Plague
déjame
that
hacer.
threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of
O
the
sea, quiere abrir
We don't know
un
for certain.
brote nuevo de
We
Scalza
cannot
aquí.
allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
¿Por qué yo? ¿Por qué de repente se muestra tan afables? ¿Por qué ahora? ¿Por qué yo?
Why do you suddenly need me?
The Ascalon Club only recruits the best, and you definitely fit the bill. Your scientific and medical reputation alone would qualify you as a candidate.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End. Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon, who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, no se equivocan. No se convencen. Nosotros vamos a mencionar a mi familia.
No.
No vamos a ir de bordes por
Have
ahora.
no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Primero quiero hacer unas preguntas.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
¿Qué implica matar a uno de los suyos? ¿Qué implica ser
What does
miembro?
it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the crown, that you become a loyal servant of the
Convertirse en un
British
siervo, tío.
Empire.
¿Debería acatar órdenes?
Am I supposed to...
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
¿Cuenta con algún
Do you
reconocimiento?
have any official recognition?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Mate a uno de los
I
suyos, es verdad.
killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed.
No sirve de nada.
Fergal was a zealous
Vale, lo que
servant
quieren
of
es
mine, but like any
que nos
servant,
unamos a ellos
he had his limitations
y encontrar los
and is
brotes
readily
de
replaced if necessary.
epidemia que haya por West End para eliminar todos los Skulls. ¿Qué pasa? Que hemos conocido a la jefa de los Skulls, por así decirlo, y en principio son como nuestros amigos, ¿sabes? O sea, es unirse a estos, que son como los más poderosos, o seguir con nuestros... Bueno, es que en verdad no son colegas. Simplemente hemos conocido dónde viven. Pero literal, si nos encontramos por ahí, nos pegan, ¿sabes? O sea, tampoco de...
What is the ASCALON Club's
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
¿Qué significa ASCALON?
What does ASCALON mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious
el nombre del
patron
lance.
saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
Son como los patriotas, ¿no? De aquí.
William Marshall founded the ASCALON Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
Uf. Solo tenemos la opción de unirnos. O sea, nos tenemos que unir sí o sí.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom
¿Vamos a
are
hacer
the
una prueba o
backbone of
algo?
this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Joder, vaya secta, eh. Madre mía.
Well, speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young... Speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young... Speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Qué asco, hombre.
Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
Miedito, eh. Habla con Lord Rapier.
I personally went...
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago, well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
¿Conoces a Edward
Do you
Swansea?
know Edgar
Swansea?
Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
Vale, por lo menos no nos prohíben nada. ¿no?
You were spying on me.
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
¿Quién era Fergal? Sabe que yo lo maté. Pero sí, claro que lo sabe, ¿no?
I don't see him sipping tea
No, la verdad es
with
que
the
no,
others.
que el Big Show ese.
Fergal Banshire was my
No me lo imagino yo
squire,
tampoco,
sirs.
haciendo eso, ¿eh?
Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod,
Vulco.
all muscles and instinct.
Una raza un
Quite
poco
the
común.
rare breed, ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
Hostia.
You do know I killed him.
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous.
Aunque a ese pobre se la pelaba a este, ¿sabes? Los scouts están relacionados con la...
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied scowls in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Skulls.
Algunos Skulls son pacíficos, los Skulls son meras víctimas. Claro, es que nosotros los que hemos conocido eran buenos. Los que están en la guarida esa. A ver. Aquí nos da un poco a entender que vayamos o bien con él, con Ascalon, diciendo que son malos los Skulls, que son buenos, o que hay algunos. O sea, vamos a intentar ir por la mitad.
I have met peaceful and wise Skulls. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Skulls are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I
Te los
want
cargas
you
a
to
todos.
investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the ASCALON Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
Más víctimas disponibles. Es que claro, si no generalizamos, hay algunos que son buenos. Los que encontramos en el bajo tierra que estaban escondidos, que fue cuando el Ascalon, el tocho ese, se los estaba cargando. Esos eran buenos, entre comillas. Pero claro, los que encontramos por ahí nosotros cuando vamos andando por la calle, esos no intentan reventar, ¿sabes? A ver, sobre la gran
What can
cacería.
you tell me?
It's a major concern, and I'm convinced we'll only get a satisfactory conclusion by putting an end to the epidemic.
Masculum se tendrá riesgo de un ataque.
What about the risk of a
Maculum era el
full-scale
cazador vampiro,
attack
¿no?
here? Jeffrey McCullum is a daring leader.
That is exactly why so many of our number have left the country until things improve. But not me. I founded this club. I'll die defending it.
Es un héroe.
I have already met Jeffrey McCullum. I am certain he will persist until he has killed every
Exacto.
last vampire.
The Guard's current successful recruitment campaign is driven by the ravenous behavior of the Skulls.
I see. So without the epidemic creating Skulls, the Guard could not convince anybody of our presence.
Exactly. Once we have put the epidemic behind us, we need only wait until the Guard grows old and weak. Time will once again become our ally.
Sobre William Marsa, sobre Lucius Dawson, que no sé quién es.
May I ask you about the mortal who attended?
A member of the club does not normally ask questions about other members. We trust each other mutually.
Pero es un mortal.
But Mr. Dawson is mortal. Are you not afraid he might reveal who?
Ah, es alguien que está aquí dentro, ¿no?
Especially to your enemies.
Aloysius Dawson is a man of his word, as are all of us. This is the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. We do not grant access to the unworthy.
So he
También es
really is.
miembro.
Indeed. Only the most eminent members are...
William
You made
Marshall.
me swear
El héroe,
on
¿no?
the blood of William Marshall during my initiation ceremony. Why was that?
William Marshall was the most glorious knight who ever lived.
Es como el héroe de aquí. ¿Era un vampiro?
William Marshall was a vampire. Is this some sort of joke? Wait. Could he be my maker?
That would
es
be
verdad.
joyful news, for it would mean he still walks among us. But alas, the great knight has left this world for good.
Why is his blood so sacred to the ASCALON Club?
He was simply the greatest defender of the realm we have ever known.
Goodbye, Lord.
Godspeed.
Ok. ¿Con estos podemos hablar? Con algunos,
Good
¿no?
evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's center?
Un poco incómodo, estoy perfectamente, no me gusta mucho.
I feel
dice
perfectly
perfectamente.
fine.
No estamos mal.
Do not be alarmed. The ASCALON Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well,
Joder.
as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw.
Ah, vale, este es el pavo ese que decían
Ah,
que no era vampiro.
vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson,
That's it.
by the way.
¿Usted es miembro del
Are
club?
you a member?
Bueno, esto ya lo sabemos que
Yes,
sí.
I am.
Hasta hace muchos años. Háblame del club.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such info.
Are
Obviamente.
you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
¿No asustan los
Are you
vampiros?
not afraid?
Sir, it's for that very reason
Por
that
ese
I
mismo motivo
joined
me
the
uní al
club in
club.
the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather.
Es curioso, ¿eh? Que un humano entre al club de... Y ya
So
forma
you
parte
know,
del
I
club.
have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
Sobre el Lord
What can you
Redgrave.
tell me about
I would not dare speak of our chairman without
Vaya, no pueden hablar.
Mr. Dawson?
Es muy conocido usted,
a
¿no?
withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of
Es
something?
verdad, a lo mejor puede haber entrado por
Absolutely
inmortalidad.
not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in, to cast
Bueno.
out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
Sobre la guardia de Priwen.
What do
Hay
you
que nos
know
comenta.
about the Guard of Pre?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
Son nuestros enemigos, obviamente.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Doctor.
Bueno, claro, en verdad, ellos no son. Son de los vampiros.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods.
Ah, pero no se quieren ensuciar las manos. Se entran en el club, pero...
To fight this plague. We have to think differently.
Lo tienen en el
What is
West
the
End.
situation?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively.
Bueno, la situación es que en principio quieren buscar la plaga de Skulls que hay por aquí.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall.
Muro.
A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
Pero a ver, son Skulls, supongo que podrán escalar. A no ser que es un pedazo muro rollo Shingeki. Es injusto, es peligroso, es eficaz. Es peligroso, en verdad.
By doing so, you would create two
Dos barrios
separate
separados.
ghettos. What
Claro,
if the
es que...
disease gets
¿Y si
past the
entra?
wall?
¿Y si entra? ¿Cómo
The
la gente
results
dentro
would be
sale?
disastrous.
No se elimina otro. Claro. Si eliminas todo, sí, pero es muy difícil, ¿no?
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns?
Claro, también dejaría gente inocente fuera. Quiere ser muy radical este pavo, ¿no?
Welcome to the ASCALON Club. I know we're facing a crisis.
Vale, con esto no se puede hablar.
No one took the time to clean up the mess inside the club since we were attacked.
Pregunta a los locales sobre la posible fuente de infección en el West End. Vale, para intentar buscar dónde pueden venir o dónde pueden estar los Skulls. Tenemos la llave del sótano. ¿Dónde puede estar el sótano? Hemos encontrado antes la llave del sótano. Pero no sé por dónde puede estar, ¿eh? Quizá por aquí fuera. Puede ser, ¿eh?
Girl, you got me shook from the way your body looks. Got me riding hooks, got me feeling like a rook. I don't do it by the book, but for you I'll take a look. Don't know what your mama took, sweet and spicy like a cook, yeah.